Selena never imagined her own family would turn on her. When her father handed her a court order, it wasn't just a legal threat, it was a message. A high-stakes game of manipulation was about to unfold with her caught in the middle. Her father, cold and calculating, had pushed her to the edge. But Selena wasn't just any victim. She was about to reveal the dangerous secrets her family had buried, exposing a web of fraud and betrayal that could change everything. It was an hour ago, a moment that would change everything. The door slammed shut behind me as I stood there staring at my father, Dale. He didn't say hello, didn't offer a comforting word. There was no warmth in his presence, just cold, hard authority. His eyes were steady, calculating as he handed me a thick packet of court documents. His lips barely moved as he spoke, his voice calm but edged with a chilling finality. "I used that security footage of you shouting at Preston," he said, almost as if explaining a trivial matter. "Edited, of course, to the court. You look unstable." He wasn't asking me for a reaction. This wasn't a conversation, it was an ultimatum. He had already made his decision. I was nothing more than an inconvenient detail in his plans. The coldness in his eyes made it clear he was done pretending to be a father. I wasn't his daughter. I was a problem that needed to be dealt with. "So here's your choice." He continued, his tone smooth and dismissive. "Take this one-way ticket to Nebraska or spend the weekend in a lockdown facility." My heart didn't race. I didn't feel the panic that someone might expect. I was too used to this. I knew how Dale operated, always in control, always manipulating, never leaving room for any real connection. And I knew that this was another one of his games. But this time, I wasn't going to play by his rules. He stood there waiting for my response, the weight of the legal threat hanging in the air like a heavy cloud. I could hear the faint sound of his footsteps, the echo of his expectations pressing down on me, trying to make me shrink. But I didn't. "You are invisible, Selena," he said, as if that should break me. "Do you understand?" I didn't flinch. I didn't let the words affect me. Instead, I stood still, letting his control slip through my fingers. I had been invisible for years, hadn't I? Ever since I was a child, my worth had never been in my own hands. I had been a pawn in their game of social status and financial maneuvering, but not anymore. The ultimatum was clear. He wanted me to bow down, to back off, to leave everything behind and disappear once again into the background of their lives. It was the perfect way to erase me, make me invisible, make me compliant. But I wasn't about to comply. My father always underestimated me. He thought I was just a rebellious daughter, the one who didn't fit into his perfect world of calculated moves and assets. He thought that by threatening me with institutionalization, he could break me, make me disappear like I had never existed in the first place. But this time, he was wrong. I didn't cry. I didn't beg. I didn't even say a word. I took the packet of papers from him and glanced down at the legal jargon on the pages. And this wasn't about me being unstable. It wasn't about protecting their image. It was about control, pure and simple. A way to tie me down, force me into submission, and ensure that I wouldn't reveal the truth. The truth that they were hiding, the truth that was buried so deep under layers of deceit. I didn't need to read the papers to know what they were. I had been through this before. This wasn't the first time my father had tried to manipulate me with legal threats. It wasn't the first time he tried to erase me from the equation, but this time it would be different. This time, I wasn't going to let him win. I didn't pack a bag, didn't rush to make any decisions. I just stood there, letting the weight of the moment settle. His footsteps faded down the driveway, his car's engine starting leaving the silence behind. I didn't rush to call the police, didn't let the fear take hold. That was the amateur's way of doing things. Instead, I sat down at my desk and opened my laptop. My fingers didn't tremble as they hovered over the keys. They were steady, calm. I wasn't going to be intimidated. I wasn't going to be invisible anymore. For 5 years, I had worked as a forensic accountant unraveling the tangled web of corporate frauds, finding the hidden money in high-stakes divorces, and exposing the lies of the rich and powerful. But this time, it wasn't someone else's money I was after. This time, it was my own life. I logged into the database I hadn't checked in years, the one that held my personal credit history. I bypassed the standard summary and dove straight into the archived liabilities. The reason why. Why was my family so desperate to shut me down? And there it was, in red text, the flashing answer that burned in my gut. A $50,000 line of credit opened when I was 16 years old. I couldn't have signed for it. I had barely even understood how to open a savings account back then. But my name was on the application. My social security number had been used to secure a loan for a business that wasn't mine. And as the pieces fell into place, the betrayal became clear. They hadn't just tried to erase me, they had stolen from me. And now they would regret it. This wasn't about me being a victim anymore. This was about me taking back control. I wasn't running away. I wasn't disappearing into the background. I was going to make them pay for everything they had done to me and to others. The game had just changed. I stared at the screen, feeling like I was looking at a different version of my life. A version where the people I trusted most had used me without hesitation. I had suspected something was off, something bigger than the typical family dysfunction. But nothing could have prepared me for what I was about to uncover. My fingers hovered over the keyboard, the click of the mouse sending me deeper into the database. I bypassed the standard summary, focusing only on the archived liabilities. It wasn't the easiest thing to look at. My credit history had never been clean, but this was different. There had to be more. Something I missed all these years. As the screen loaded, my stomach dropped. I scrolled down slowly, my eyes moving across the text with a sharpness that surprised even me. And then it appeared. A $50,000 line of credit opened in my name 12 years ago. I froze. The loan originated when I was just 16, barely old enough to vote, let alone sign for something as significant as that. But there it was, my name, my social security number, a high-interest business loan I knew nothing about. I blinked, trying to absorb what I was seeing, and then clicked on the PDF of the original application. As the file loaded, my blood ran cold. There was my signature, or rather what I assumed was supposed to be my signature. The handwriting didn't look like mine. It looked suspiciously like my mother's. The realization hit me like a punch to the gut. They had forged my name. They had used me, my identity, to take out a loan without my knowledge, and worse, without my consent. I couldn't believe it, but there was no denying it. It wasn't just a simple mistake or a mix-up. This was deliberate, and they'd done it before. Maybe more than once, but the theft itself wasn't the most shocking part. What hit me next, what I couldn't ignore, was the timing. My eyes flicked from the loan date to the other tab I had opened, Preston Ventures, my brother's first failed startup. I pulled up the public business filings, and as I compared the dates, everything clicked into place. The loan had been opened the exact same week that Preston rented his first office space. My mind raced. The more I thought about it, the more it made sense. I felt like I was piecing together a puzzle that had been sitting in front of me for years, hidden in plain sight. My family had orchestrated a financial plan so twisted, so calculated, that I was a mere pawn in their game. It wasn't just a loan. It wasn't just a business deal. It was all part of a much larger scheme to cover their tracks. Preston had been the high-risk, high-reward venture. They had put all their money into him, hoping he would hit it big, and when he didn't, they had to find a way to cover the loss. That's where I came in. To Dale and Brenda, I wasn't their daughter. I was a liquid asset, an emergency fund. They hadn't hidden me because I was an embarrassment. No, it was colder than that. They had hidden me because I was the evidence. My existence, my financial history was the link between their fraud and the outside world. They had used my name to prop up their failing investments. They were hoping that no one would ever dig deep enough to see the truth, but I had. The more I thought about it, the more everything lined up. My father and mother didn't hate me. They didn't even care about me. I wasn't a daughter to them. I was a financial tool, a reliable, steady backup to cover their poor decisions. They hadn't seen me as a person with hopes, dreams, or a future. I was a line item in their portfolio, just another asset to be leveraged. And it wasn't just the $50,000 loan that rattled me. It was the whole picture. My father had used me to cover his son's debts to protect Preston's future while he gambled away the family's wealth. They had kept me on the sidelines, hidden from their business dealings, hoping that I would never find out what they were really doing. And it wasn't just my identity they had stolen, it was my future, my potential. They had stolen my ability to make something of myself without their interference. The more I thought about it, the more I realized that this wasn't just about money. It was about control. My family didn't want me to be an individual. They didn't want me to break free from their web of lies and manipulation. They wanted me to stay invisible, to remain a pawn in their financial game, never questioning, never looking too closely. They thought they could erase me, disappear me into the background of their perfect world of wealth and power. But they had made one fatal mistake. They underestimated me. I wasn't invisible. I had never been invisible. I had been hiding in plain sight, building my own life quietly, gathering the strength to fight back. I had always been their backup plan. But now the tables had turned. I wasn't going to let them win. I wasn't going to let them hide their secrets any longer. I was going to make sure they paid for what they had done to me and to everyone else they had tried to control. I hadn't expected to find myself sitting in this corner office, the gleaming glass walls offering a view of the city below, the air thick with the scent of fresh espresso. But here I was, facing Savannah Sterling, the woman my brother Preston was supposed to marry in 3 days. She sat across the desk from me, her posture sharp, businesslike. She didn't look like a bride. She looked like a CEO, someone used to making difficult decisions, someone who wouldn't let sentiment get in the way of business. Her eyes were fixed on me, calculating, assessing. There was a pause before she spoke. "My fiancé's financials are perfect," she said, sliding a tablet across the black glass desk. But her voice lacked the warmth you'd expect from someone talking about their partner. It was detached, cold, almost clinical. Too perfect. She added, her brow furrowing as she tapped the screen. His startup Preston Ventures claims a 400% return in the third quarter. In this market, that's not growth, that's alchemy. She leaned forward, her gaze intense, a flicker of something that wasn't just business acumen in her eyes. "I'm not signing a merger agreement with a ghost, Miss Vance. I need a blind audit. I need you to find the rot before I walk down that aisle." Her words hung in the air, and I felt a knot tighten in my chest. She had no idea who I really was, just a highly recommended forensic accountant from an external agency. To her, I was a stranger, a hired hand with no personal stake in the game. But as she spoke, the weight of the situation pressed down on me. This wasn't just about an audit. It wasn't just about business. It was about my brother, about my family, about secrets they had buried so deep that even someone like Savannah Sterling could smell the rot. And I was the one tasked with finding it. I could tell by the way she spoke that she wasn't naive. She saw something in Preston's numbers that didn't add up. But how much did she really know? And what would she do with the truth if I found it? I kept my expression neutral, leaning slightly forward as I scanned the tablet in front of me. I couldn't let my personal feelings cloud my judgment. This was business pure and simple. She was a client, and I was a professional. Selena Bennett, the girl with the shattered credit score and the desperate need for approval, was gone. In her place sat Selena Vance, a woman who had built a new identity, someone who had erased her past and her connections in search of something real. It was the name of a grandmother who had never asked for anything in return, who had slipped me a $20 bill with no strings attached. Selena Vance wasn't a victim. She wasn't tied to a family that used her as an asset. She wasn't defined by the mistakes they made. But as I watched Savannah, my heart twisted. She had no idea who I really was. She had no idea what my family had done, the lengths they'd gone to protect their secrets. If she found out that Preston's financials were a lie, she would have no choice but to walk away. And when she did, everything I had worked for would be exposed. I had spent years building this life, this new identity. I had worked hard to get to this point, away from the people who had controlled me, away from the lies. But now I was trapped between two worlds. I needed to stay professional. I needed to stay focused. I needed to keep my distance. But as Savannah spoke, I couldn't help but wonder what she would do when she learned the truth. Would she trust me? Or would she see me as just another piece in my family's game? I couldn't risk that. Not now. "Can you do it?" she asked, pulling me back from my thoughts. "The engagement signing is Saturday. I need a verdict by then." Her voice was steady, but there was an edge to it, a sense of urgency. She needed answers. She needed proof. And I was the one who could give it to her. But I had to be careful. I had to be patient. I couldn't let my emotions guide me. Not when my family's dark secrets were on the line. I picked up the tablet and pretended to review the information. I wasn't just looking for numbers. I wasn't just looking for discrepancies. I was looking for the moment my family's facade would collapse. I was looking for the evidence that would bring everything crashing down, and when I found it, I would have the upper hand. My dual identity, Selena Bennett and Selena Vance, had never felt more like a trap, but it was the only weapon I had, and I would use it. The closing room at Sterling headquarters was everything it was meant to be, designed to intimidate. The polished mahogany, the glass walls that stretched from floor to ceiling, the air conditioning set so low it felt like a courtroom. It was a space where deals were made with silent nods and hushed voices, where money changed hands without a single word of protest. And yet here I was, not at the table, but in the adjacent AV control room, watching through the one-way mirror. I wasn't part of the family drama in that room. I was the observer, the strategist, the silent threat. I adjusted my earpiece, making sure everything was in place. My heart pounded against my ribs, but I kept my breath steady, focusing on the sounds Preston's nervous shifting. The rustle of my mother's silk blouse, the quiet hum of the air conditioning. Savannah sat at the head of the table, flanked by two junior lawyers, all poised and professional. Opposite them, my family Preston, Dale, and Brenda sat in their usual positions. My father, leaning back in his chair, was already spending the merger money in his mind, no doubt. My mother's tight smile never wavered. Preston's eyes darted nervously to his phone, likely waiting for a wire transfer to clear before the sharks came calling. They were all playing their parts, each one thinking they had the game in hand. They thought they had me on a plane to Nebraska, that their threats had worked. They didn't know I was already inside the castle waiting to strike. My fingers hovered over the headset button, the moment drawing closer. I could feel the tension in the room, thickening like smoke. This was it, the point of no return. Preston slid an iPad across the table, his voice smooth and rehearsed. "Just need your signature to merge the accounts, babe," he said, flashing that charm of his, the same smile that had fooled investors for years. But there was an edge to his confidence now. He was sweating. He knew something was wrong, but he didn't know just how wrong it was. "The valuation is all they're clean as a whistle," he added, trying to sell it, trying to make it sound legitimate. My pulse quickened, but I kept my face impassive. Savannah picked up the stylus, her hand hovering over the screen. Time seemed to stretch the air, heavy with anticipation. This was the moment. I pressed the button on my headset, speaking directly into Savannah's earpiece. My voice, calm, deliberate. "Wait," I said. "Don't sign. Ask him to email the final version to your secure server first. We need a digital timestamp." There was a pause. The room seemed to freeze. The smile on Preston's face faltered for just a moment, his confidence cracking. Savannah set the stylus down, her expression shifting slightly as she glanced at him. "Actually," she said, her voice smooth but firm, "Preston emailed the final PDF to me right now. I want a time-stamped digital copy for the board before I sign anything. Just protocol." The request was simple, almost casual, but to Preston, it was a bombshell. He hesitated, his eyes flicking to my father, the panic flashing across his face for the briefest second. Dale's expression didn't change, but I saw it at the flicker of fear, the realization that something was slipping away. Preston glanced at his laptop, tapping the keys, trying to act like it was no big deal, but I saw it the tremble in his fingers. He was stalling. He was trying to buy time, hoping I wouldn't press him, but it was too late. The trap had been set. He couldn't back out now without looking suspicious. I leaned forward slightly, watching intently as he typed the seconds, feeling like hours. He hit send. I watched as the email left his outbox, crossing into the Sterling server. The trap snapped shut. The moment that file crossed the server, the lie stopped being a family squabble. It became a federal crime. It became wire fraud. It became a felony with a mandatory minimum sentence. And Preston had just signed his own warrant. The notification sound from Savannah's tablet was almost too soft, a polite ding that echoed through the room like a gunshot. "It's here?" Savannah whispered, staring at the screen. I felt a cold rush of satisfaction. The game was over. But there was no time to celebrate. Not yet. I pushed through the heavy oak doors, the sound of the latch snapping shut behind me. Every head turned. Confusion, panic. My father's face contorted with disbelief. He shot to his feet, knocking his chair back in the process. "What is she doing here?" He barked, his voice shaking with fury. She's unstable. The room erupted into chaos, but I stood still, calm, collected. It was time. You just committed wire fraud, Preston, I said, my voice cutting through the noise. Federal charges? In the end, it wasn't just about exposing their lies. It was about reclaiming my life, my future. I had fought back against the family that tried to control me, and I won. They underestimated me, and that was their mistake. Today, I stand stronger, free from their web of manipulation. The journey wasn't easy, but it taught me more about myself than I ever thought possible. If you've enjoyed this story, drop a like, share your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more. Thanks for watching.